Hello, everybody, and welcome to another very special episode of the podcast, the Thoth Described podcast, hosted by me. If you don't know me, I'm Guy Dezen. I'm 30 years old. I hail from the Levant region. I won't give you the exact coordinates, but I will. That will suffice. And now I'm going to present a very special guest, a producer, a music icon who has worked with great artists like Snoop Dogg and Grimes, and many more. And so I'm more than thrilled and excited to welcome him on my show, Steven Machat. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you? How's the Levant?
How's the Levant? Yeah, it's
Yep.
good. You know, it's the middle Mediterranean, shall we say? Yeah, close on to the equator. Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, I wrote a book. It's called The Colonization of Earth and the Making of Mankind,
Wow.
where I unravel the Bible. And I try to do away with all the myths from the different tales that were told. And the Levant was the original old OLDE world.
Yeah.
That's where the
Yeah.
first urban centers were built of what today we call our civilizations.
Yeah.
And it's part of our DNA, and that's why it's so special and so important. And
Yeah.
what's great is, as I'm getting to know you, you're inquisitive. You're an extremely bright man that's looking for the ocean, and right now you're in a stream, and you're going to get back there. The stream of consciousness.
Yeah. Got it.
And you love
Yeah.
music, and that's
I
your
love
love of
music.
music's the best way to get you there. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Like in my head, there's a complete discography. I have a musical hearing. I play guitar and piano. I write poems. I used to write songs. I'm incredibly creative if I can pat myself on the back a little here.
No, go for it. Just, and by the way, poetry, it's like Leonard Cohen, who I worked with for years.
Yes.
He was a poet and he became a
The love of my
musician.
life. Yeah, Leonard Cohen. Yeah, such a
Is he
shame.
really?
Yes, he is.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I spent many years with him.
Yeah, it's problematic, like to actually quantify, who's better, who's the top notch sort of, I don't know, king of music. There isn't such a thing, but I like old classical, the golden era, shall we say, of music. But I also, there is a tiny renaissance going on, a very small one in scale, but nonetheless is going on in the world right now, of actually going back to the 80s type of rhythm, and also a little bit of the grunge, era 90s. So there are some bands that are actually trying to do that. Yeah.
We have one right now that we're promoting and marketing, and they'll definitely be in your consciousness. It's called Rocks, Revolt, and the Velvets. You'll get off on it.
Awesome name. Yeah.
Check it out later.
Of course. So again, Rocks.
ROXX. It's with two X's.
Yeah. Okay.
Revolt.
Okay. I'll definitely be on top of it. But can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Something that I don't know. I can tell that you're a different consciousness than you were, shall we say, imbued with a different consciousness altogether from mankind, and you seem to want to. You're like the Bodhisattva. You are the enlightened Buddha unto the world. as I see it. You know, your mind is clear. You are totally in control of your thoughts and your actions, and you know exactly what you want to impart on this world. So, do you have a comment on anything I said
Here,
so far?
you told, thank you for feeling me as I feel you.
Thank
You
you.
know, when you turn around and look at me, I turn around and look at you. And that's what we don't understand. We're both moving energies locked inside a body. And when you told me earlier that you loved the Beatles, the #1 album, which to me is a compilation of all the songs that when I was young, before a teenager, and as a teenager, they put together to do their original hits. The
Yeah.
most important song in that album is the song The Word. And inside that album and inside that song is the lessons I want to share with everyone I can talk to. I've lived a life, I've lived a real rock and roll life. You could Google me, it's Machat, your audience. I'm rock and roll, I am. I've questioned everything. I question authority everywhere I see it. And the only answer I have to everyone wants and needs, the only way I could get anyone to really believe in themselves is to understand we all have the same wants and needs. And all we're looking for is love. And we don't understand that we come from love. And in that Beatle album, it's a song called The Word. Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word I'm thinking of. You know, the word is love. That's all we are. You and everybody listening to me right now, you were made with love. Your parents got together and they used their physical instruments. And what they did is they played a symphony. And out of that symphony came you.
Yeah,
And what
I'm the crescendo, you know, that symphony.
Yeah, you know, it's like boom, right? The bang. And that's what we need to do. We need to create a society based on love, not division, not where we have people dividing us so they can make money, not where they tell you capitalism's the answer when that's being a vampire. And I'm an entrepreneur telling you this. And I love making money because it's a sport. But life is not a sport where there's only one winner. You know, it's like I never understood soccer because you played and you didn't have to win. You played draw. Well, the game of life is to have a draw. And if you see my new book, it's called We've Got to Get Out of This Place, which I told you earlier was nominated.
Awesome name.
Nominated for the best spiritual book. And I'd love your audience to pick it up and read it because I'm 69. So maybe it's a 70-year-old history of my search for truth. I've studied every religion I could get in the middle of. I did it through song and dance. I've lived in over 100 countries producing music. No one's done this. And I didn't want to have the biggest castle in the sand that could melt when I'm gone. I wanted to understand and share whatever I pick up. I mean, you said those two. I had Genesis, Phil Collins, Leonard Cohen, Peter Gabriel. I had Bobby Brown, New Edition. I had the Wu-Tang Clan I worked with. And
wow.
But
you have to slow down. My head is sort of combusting, you know?
Exploding.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I realized that the Native American Indians had something to teach me. So I'm like, okay, they'll teach me and I'll share it with you. I recorded 8 different tribes that still exist. You know, the tribes that the United States broke every peace treaty they made with them, as the white good Christians came and stole everything they could from them. But you're not allowed to know that. But I learned what they knew. I wanted to understand what they thought life was all about. I was in India with Amjad Ali Khan, who's one of the biggest artists there. I started WOMAD with Peter Gabriel, where we brought artists in from all over the world. In Brazil, I got bored and I wanted to understand the Brazilian lifestyle. I spent plenty of time in Israel meeting with your #1 stars and having people solicit me and give me their music. You know, I just live to learn. And then what I do is I'm a sponge, but I talk. So I'll absorb what your energies are and I'll spit it back to you. And what I did was through all these people, I discovered life after death. You don't die. Okay. And if everyone understood that, then they wouldn't be so afraid of living.
Yeah.
You can't live if you're afraid of death.
Of course.
And so in this book, I teach you what I learned about reincarnation from others. and I teach you what I learned from the Egyptian mysticism about ascension, which is the underlying body of every religion.
Mm.
You know, I'll tell you a story because this may amuse you. Many years ago, it was 2011. I come back from Russia where I'm working with a KGB member who's begging me to get his wife a record deal. So I do it. And I came back just embraced and engulfed with their culture. So I give a lecture at the University of London.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there, and a guy in the audience gets up and he goes, "I've had enough of this. You're making fun of my religion." Because I told him Christianity was nothing but a multi-dimensional religion. They're telling you that you travel dimensions when you die. And this guy, I said, "Sit down." And he goes, "What?" And I say to him, and there's 160 people in this room. I said, "Sit down." I said, "Matter of fact, boom." So I clap my hands as loud as I can. I said, "Now follow me. I, Steven Machat, am dead." I said, "Now can you please stand up?" I get calm. The guy stands up. You can see this on YouTube. And he says to me, "Now what?" I said, "Well, Steven Machat's dead, but now you're Peter. You're at the pearly gates. So Steven Machat's dead. You, the audience, see a dead Steven Machat laying here. And now you're Peter. No one in this audience could see you, but you're at the pearly gates of heaven. Now you, according to your religion, I'm talking to a physically dead Steven Machat. Yeah. Are you telling me that's not a multi-dimensional trip?
Yeah.
You're telling me that you're the gatekeeper for this other dimension you call heaven?" Yeah. They didn't know what to do. I told them we're all looking for the same answers. Stop it. Share it. No one can own that.
So let's unpack some of the things that you said. Okay, let's try to organize here. Okay, I'm not.
No. Do it so you can digest it.
No, just so I can, actually organize in my head what I want to talk about and how I approach everything. Okay.
Let's go.
I'm a bit more methodical, and I have to, not censor, but I have to, concise, to be concise with my words. So let's start from the beginning, okay? Rewind the tape for a second. How did you actually get into music? Were you always like musically inclined? Did you have a natural proclivity for picking up an instrument and immediately being able to, reproduce great musical, yeah.
See, I believe we pick our parents. Okay. So when I was young, my father was a music lawyer. Mm. Dad was a GI. He fought in D-Day. Mm. Dad, he came back to America and he couldn't get a job. He became a lawyer, and then he couldn't go work for the WASP, the White Anglo-Saxon Protestant law firms. So what Dad did is he navigated himself into basically the entertainment industry. One of his World War II buddies was driving a very famous boxer called Sugar Ray Robinson. I'm answering your question. Yeah. Okay, so Sugar Ray Robinson was one of the greatest boxers. He got into a car crash in this guy's taxi. The taxi driver gave my dad's number to Sugar Ray, and my Sugar Ray calls my father.
Awesome.
Because he needed a lawyer in New York to go protect him from the car accident. Dad ended up becoming Sugar Ray's business manager. My father was named Martin Machat. And what happened was, so now I'm 4 or 5 years old, and all of a sudden I'm thrusted into a situation where I ask questions. And I start meeting these people, and I start meeting the people that Sugar Ray gave my father. And my father, because I ask questions, you need like if you ever run a race, the best race you could ever run is if someone's running with you. So you need someone to play off. That's why duets work. So Dad would sit me with all his clients and I would just ask him questions nonstop. It was just insane. And my dad became one of the go-to lawyers, which I praise whatever creative forces allowed this. So I sat with all these men. And, you know, because they went to England, because England was into R&B music, my father went to England with these people. And he came back with all the English acts that loved American R&B. And what they don't teach you is during World War II, when Americans came to Europe and they were in England, the white officers stayed in London and the black officers, because we were a racist, segregated country, were up north. And all these northern people growing up in the late 30s and 40s, they were introduced to R&B music because they came with their 78 RPMs. And that's how the music industry worked. Mm-hmm. So my dad came back with, because dad had contacts with guys like Clyde McPhatter or Clyde Otis, producers. He came back and these, like Eric Burden and the Animals, they were called the Animals and produced by Mickey Mouse. They hired my dad to be their American lawyer. So I grew up with the Animals. I grew up with Dave Clark 5. I grew up with Herman Hermits. You know, I grew up with the Kinks. Ray Davies was, to me, was one of the most fascinating people I could talk to. Wow, and I realized that these people heard noises. And I kept asking each and every one of them, where do you get your songs from? Because I'm sitting and I'm looking at my friends in school and they all wanted to be musicians, but none of them could sit down there and do what made them so creative and what made the others just basically Kmart. And what they did is they told me they hear things. And I wanted to understand, how do you hear things? And I sat there and I was given an opportunity that few people do. And then because I'm as curious could be, I went around wherever I could get the opportunity to go, I would go. I ended up with people like Charlie Daniels in Nashville, Tennessee, which Nashville in those days was a different world than we would understand. I ended up with the Allman Brothers and Capricorn Records. Yeah. I wanted to know what they saw. And I wanted to know why they didn't understand that they were the same as everybody else. What makes you really believe you're different? And it was religion. And it was nationalism. You know, oh, we're the United States, so we're better than you. That's not true. You know, it's a ball game. Life's a ball game. And I kept dissecting it. And then when I got out of law school as a public defender, they ran me out of Nashville because I was defending people they'd rather have in jail. They ran me out with a smile. And, you know, I got politically involved and I became a Tennessee delegate as a Cherokee Indian for Jimmy Carter in 76.
Damn.
And why was I a Cherokee Indian? Because no Cherokee Indian was signing up to be a delegate. So they go, you're crazy enough to do it. So here we go. And I just, you know, and I would be with just different people. I couldn't stop. All I wanted to, my currency is you. Talking to you, a 30-year-old, it's fantastic. You know, my son died. What I did with my son as we created a record label, all I wanted Baron to do was to do what I'm doing. Yeah. I wanted him to love life. And the only way you could love life is to not try to own it. You share it. The greatest gift we have is living in the present. That's why that English word works, the present. It's your gift to live in this moment. And tomorrow will become today. So worry about tomorrow when it's today. Whatever's in the past, forgive me, is your ASS. I don't know, your censorship. It's done. It's out. Let it go. Just live in the moment and you'll live. I'm blessed because for whatever reason, I believe what I'm saying and I live what I'm saying.
Yes.
So my whole goal is to speak to people and go back to that Red Beetle album that you knew. And it's an album that I knew when I was a kid. Say the word and you'll be free. Say the word I'm thinking of. That word is love. Live it, share it, own it.
Well, I gotta confess that the very first R&B song that I heard was I think Cher song. I can't remember. You know the one that everybody knows. It's with a kiss. Yes, there it is. It's with a kiss. Yes, there it is.
That was sang by Betty Everett when I was a boy, and she sang it later. Yeah, it's In His Kiss. Is the name of that song.
Kiss. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first one. Which I found it was like
It's the Shoop Shoop song.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It was Cher.
That was a great song.
Of course, it was an awesome song. And I've heard what Elton John. Elton John was the second one I've heard. From The Lion King and the Circle of Life. Da 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 da. But I heard like Daniel also like it's your song and stuff like that.
You know what fascinated me? I'm 25 years old. I'm sitting with Elton John and I'm sitting with Bernie Taupin.
Awesome.
Right. And they're a duo, right? A composer and lyricist. I thought Elton John wrote the lyrics. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the two of them. And even though it's obvious because they said who did what, but I couldn't believe Elton John didn't write those lyrics. And I found out that Bernie Taupin wrote the lyrics and Elton John put those lyrics to music. And I'm like, whoa. Because they collectively wrote great albums. They wrote albums like 60 Years On. I don't know if you know that song. That song to this moment still resonates with me. Then there's another song they wrote called The Border Song, and it's all about love. I was a fortunate boy because what I did is using my dad to accelerate higher. I made him my king and I was his prince and I attacked anything and everything to get to where I wanted to go. And there was a band called the Electric Light Orchestra, ELO.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I got in the middle of that because that became my ticket to ride. That was my magic carpet ride because they were an international worldwide band that by gaining their representation, I was able to travel the globe at 25, 26 and have people in businesses that needed and wanted to talk to me because I had something that they could vampire off and make money out of. And I did it. I went all over the world with that band on a spaceship. We had that spaceship tour, which was fantastic. And it was just a beautiful opportunity to sit and learn love. And I write books about it. All my books is in anger because we don't understand love. It's just, It's insane. I was in Israel and I went to Gaza when they told me not to. And this is in 2019, and they started shooting at me to tell me I can't go through this gate. And they were shooting overhead. And I was with people that took me down there. And they're like, you can't do this. And I'm like, well, I did,
Well,
my internet connection's unstable.
There's a song called by a band like I think his name was John Sykes, if I'm not mistaken. John Sykes. It was like a heavy metal guy, and there was a cautionary warning. That's the song, and it's cool. It has a nice vibe. Like the heavy metal sort of electric guitar, vibe.
That's fantastic. I mean, if you listen to the U2 music, it's all rhythms that are based on Scottish war tactics.
Okay.
When they do the drums and the guitars, it's outrageous. But by the way, it's the same thing in a soccer match when you're singing your songs and you unite your audience. But the beauty of sport is when the game's over, you shake hands and congratulate the winner.
Yes.
We need to learn how to do that in life.
Of course. You have to be a decent loser and an even more humble and honest winner.
I'll give you a story. So I'm with my son. We're at the Arizona Diamondbacks are playing the New York Yankees. It's game 7. We're in Phoenix. And all of a sudden, our team, the Yankees, is about to win. So we're sitting down there with the crowd, the Arizona crowd, but we're down near the bottom. And my son's going berserk for the Yankees, and he's laughing. They're about to win. But what happened was the Yankees lost. All these people, and it was like sudden death, and it was over, and they lost. And all these people turned around. And I looked at my son, and I whispered in his ear, I said, shake their hands and congratulate them on victory.
Awesome.
And he did it. So not only did he get a lesson, I got a lesson because I saw people who were really, really mad all of a sudden tell me, what a lovely boy you have. Because he looked him in the eye and said, congratulations, which is powerful. The most humble winner is the greatest.
Yes.
Accept your victory. And don't hate your defeat. It happens. You know, it happens.
Mm.
Like we all need rain,
So
or else we don't grow.
What actually got you into questioning the basis on which religion is even founded, and even the core principles that drive our thinking, or the dogma that kind of obscures our thinking, our rational thinking? What got you into religion, actually?
Because I believe in the supreme being. I did it. I don't know if you believe in consciousness floating in, because I believe we choose things, and I believe we come back, which is in my book, We've Got to Get Out of this place in reincarnation. I came here to spread a message. And, you know, if you Google my stuff online, you'll see it. You know, I did a book called Sacred Knowledge, A Rock and Roller's Guide to Higher Consciousness. And I always speak to the powers in my head. I walk around and I meditate, but I also walk on earth, and I have the ability to make money. You know, I'm not someone that's left society. I love society, but I just,
of course.
So as a boy, I would have different friends from different religions. And I'm like, hey, time out. What is this? Yeah. I woke up after World War II and I'm like, how the hell can you sit and put people who are allegedly Jews inside the ovens? Here's one more story for you.
Yeah.
I got so upset and
you know, even if you were a Christian for free generations. Pardon. If you were a Christian, you know, for 3 generations, and your 4th generation was Jewish, then you would also get the ovens, as you said.
Yeah. So there was a guy named Udo. Udo was the head of business affairs for Polygram, whatever they became, Phonogram. And we're making a deal for status quo. So anyway, he's sitting there and he looks at my father and he goes, Marty, did you fight in World War II? And my father said, yes, I did. And I'm looking at the guy, the 3 of us in this room, and he said, maybe we shot at each other. So I look at the guy, and all of a sudden, all this energy inside me is like, what do you mean? You were a Nazi? He says, yes, I was a Nazi. I said, how could you become a Nazi? He goes, what do you mean? I said, how could you wake up and start killing your neighbors? How could you be part of a program that put people in the ovens? And he started looking at me and I started getting upset. My father realized, Steven's about to go at this guy because I'll do this. So I took his desk and I started pushing it to him.
Okay,
and I got in his face.
We have a few seconds left here, so I'm going to...
I'll give you the end real quick. I asked him how he could do it, and he said he could do it because he could. I stopped getting upset. I pulled it back. And I learned the lesson. The lesson for your audience is the following. People do it because they're part of a runaway majority.
Wow.
And they lose their morality.
Yeah, that is awesome. You know, that's a great message, you know, to follow your